The next thing I'd like to discuss is setting up the tattoo machine in order so that you can begin to tattoo. I'm first going to show you the traditional style machine and how that's set up. Okay, this is it's called a V machine, and this comes from Worldwide Tattoo. It's reasonably inexpensive. This would be a good entry-level machine for somebody that's looking to just get started and see if tattooing's for them, actually. From this side, what we have is these two items are called coils. And the reason I'm mentioning this is because you may need to order additional parts once you get a new machine. These are called coils. This top section here, this piece is called a front binding post. This section here is called a rear binding post. This small item here is a capacitor. This unscrews here on the side of the front binding post, and that is for the spring tension. Okay, it's called a tension screw, and that's how you're going to adjust the speed of the machine and whether it's running right. It's tuning your machine, basically. Okay, and this is to this item right here. The screw is a tension screw for the set screw. Okay, it's pretty simple machine. So the next thing I'd like to discuss in regards to this is setting up putting the needle in and the tube over top of that. The next thing we're going to talk about is the types of needles that we're going to use. Okay, these are needles that are pretty standard in the industry. They are for the traditional style machine that we had just discussed, and they come in various patterns of needles, if you would. There's some that are flat shaders, there's round liners, round shaders, things like this. Generally speaking, you're going to want to go with two different types of needles. You're going to want one as a liner and one as a shader. And they should always come pre-packaged like this. Okay? Unopened, they've been autoclaved, so they're sterile. And make sure that when you do tattoo somebody that you open it in front of them, because all it takes is one person to say the wrong thing and it can ruin your reputation.
Okay, well, I have the tattoo machine and I have my tube and my needle. What I'm going to show you is how to set this machine up. I don't have any gloves on. We're not going to do tattoo or anything like this. This is just a tutorial. Right here, I'm using a bigger mag needle and a tube. Obviously, it's really, really big, but I want to use this to emphasize how to put it in and how it should lay. Okay, first off, let's get this guy out. Basically, in here, you just go through this area here. Let me loosen this up. This goes in, in. This O-loop or circle will go into the nipple, but make sure that after you put it in, it's pretty sturdy. I don't know, you can see it's pretty sturdy. But this is the one I wanted to emphasize on. Right here, you see the needle? The needle bar should be on the top, like so, and then the needle should be on the bottom. And when you're lining it up to the tip of the needle, it should be flat. So here's the tube and the needle. It should be flat like this, together like flat. And that's that's very, very, very important. Once that's done, you can lock it into place. Get your rubber band to hold the needle back so it won't shake or wobble. And that's it. And you just get your clipboard and start tattooing. And that's the basic setup. Obviously, you won't be using a big big tube like this, big needles or anything like this. But like I said, this is just for this tutorial. And there you go, an Element Tattoo Supply tattoo machine.
Alright, this is a blister pack, and when you're pulling it apart, you want to be very careful not to damage or barb the needle. So take your time when you're pulling this apart. And you're going to be putting that needle bar into the needle tube, and before you do so, you need to create a slight bend in the needle bar. With the grouping on the bottom of the needle bar, put some slight up pressure in the middle of the bar with your thumb there. Now you don't want too much of a curve, because then it'll create friction. So as you see there, I decrease the amount of curve. That looks about right. When putting the needle into the tube, I like to stabilize with my pinky, like you see there, just to ensure that I'm not barbing or dinging the needle as it goes through the tube tip. And now I'm going to put the needle and tube together on the machine. Now, while you're setting up, this is a good time to let your stencils dry, and it takes a good 10 minutes, so it's a good time to burn by putting your machines together. Just be very careful when you're assembling everything, making sure everything lines up correctly. And everyone has their different ideas of where the needle should stick out of the tube. I'll leave that up to you. Now, if you look at the needle bar, there's a slight bend going away from the machine there, as you can see. With the rubber bands, it'll pull that needle bar back towards the machine, making your needle tips come out the bottom of the tube tip. This is your needle control to ensure that it's not bouncing around.
If you're having problems getting your tattoo gun to work, a lot of times it's this armature and the contact screw right here not meeting properly. You really want to have it to where the screw just pushes on that spring. If it's not connected at all, you can hit the switch and nothing will happen. You want to get it just tight enough to push on that bar. And then you want to run about 7 or 8 volts on your meter there. You hit the thing. That's a little low yet. About right there, where the needle comes out of there, about 1/8 of an inch when you got power running through it. No power, no needle. Power, about 1/8 inch.